Arise, Arjuna, Hinduism resurgent for a new century. This is the title of one of my new publications through Bloomsbury, India, new editions of important works that I have done over the past few decades, and re-envisioning of the deeper inspiration behind my work and my message, particularly for Hindus and for India as a whole, but extending to the entire world. The perpetual call for humanity is for Arjuna to arise. Who is Arjuna? Arjuna is the spiritual warrior within us who needs the energy, the motivation, the confidence, the fearlessness, and the daring to challenge the forces of darkness, ignorance, Maya, and illusion that predominate in our material world and its short duration, its transience in time, its limitations in space. Arise, Arjuna harkens back to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in which Lord Krishna, with the message of the Bhagavad Gita, helped Arjuna arise and face the most difficult of all possible battles. A civil war, a war within a family, facing his own kinsmen and teachers, and yet a struggle for Dharma, for the deeper truth to prevail, and a higher spiritual vision to counter the materialistic, egoistic, or what are called the asuric forces of humanity. So naturally, Arjuna was hesitant dealing with that potential of destruction, but it had a necessity. Kurukshetra is also said to be Dharmakshetra. Even in Vedic thought, one of the metaphors for human life is like a war or a battle, struggle between light and darkness. The need to take life as a challenge and seek a deeper level of meaning and action. So Kurukshetra is that ultimate battle, outwardly and inwardly, and Arjuna is the ultimate warrior. But that warrior spirit, that warrior for Dharma, has to be aroused and awakened within us. And here, what's happened in the Hindu tradition overall, there's been a great deal of passivity developed over previous centuries of foreign and colonial rule, apologetics, lack of regard for the Hindu tradition itself. And the result is that the Hindu Dharma has come under siege in India itself. Hindu culture, there's negative views, even an idea that there's no real tradition of India, there's no real tradition of the Hindu Dharma, there's just simply various people and their different movements, ideas, and clashes. So there has been a Hindu renaissance since the 19th century, expanding to the global spread of Hindu Dharma through Yoga, Vedanta, and related Vedic teachings. And there was the Indian independence movement, which was also rooted in the great yogis and the sadhu image, Mahatma Gandhi and the sadhu image, great yogis like Sri Aurobindo, who were integral parts of that movement. But post-independence, India has fallen under more Western, specifically Marxist influences that have alienated a lot of the intellectuals and a lot of the people of India from their own traditions, or caused them to lose confidence in them or see them in a negative light. Now there is a new Hindu awakening where Hindus are realizing the value of Hindu culture, beauty of Hindu temples, magnificence of Hindu festivals, great traditions, yoga, Ayurveda, Jyotish, Vastu, Sanskrit, the music, the dance, the culture overall. A new Hindu pride is arising. And even socially, politically, Hindus have long been marginalized. It's only today they're saying that we also need to vote. We also need to be in positions of political power. We also have to have our views addressed. For example, India is the only country in the world in which state governments take the revenues from the temples of the majority religion and use them for their own purposes, not for purposes of the Hindu Dharma overall. And Hindu Dharma is not adequately presented in textbooks or even in academia and media. So a new Hindu voice has arisen to counter these. I have been involved in this work for several decades. Years ago in India, you couldn't even say you were a Hindu. That was considered to be politically incorrect and kind of a sign of backwardness. Now that situation is changing. But we have a new Kurukshetra coming up in 2019, and even as extending for the future, this clash of Dharma and Adharma, and this awakening of the Indic civilization, not just simply Hindus as a particular group of people, and this need to bring Dharma back into society, not just simply politics or religion or outer Western values, to get back to this ideas of the Mahabharata or the Ram Raja of the Ramayana that Mahatma Gandhi and the independence movement also emphasized, an inner awakening of the spirit, but also an awakening extending to the whole of life. Because the yogi and rishi vision behind the Hindu Dharma has the capacity to lead humanity forward beyond the information technology era into a new age of higher consciousness, beyond simply outer technologies of computers, machines, and so on, to an inner technology of yoga and self-realization. So each one of us faces this challenge in life. Are we going to awaken our Arjuna spirit to face and overcome the difficulties of the outer world and the difficulties that we face relative to spiritual energies and forces as well? Or are we going to retreat and retire and let go and forget our responsibility? And here, message of Gita and Mahabharata and Arjuna, several things. One, pity will not take you anywhere. You have to have clear and decisive action. Two, there is in human life never any ideal action to do. In any circumstance, there are things we can do to improve the situation, but there will always be some limitations. Why? Because circumstances are always complicated. We live in a realm of duality. We live in a realm of limitation in time and space. So if we're waiting for the perfect action, the ideal thing to do, we cannot go very far. And imagine Arjuna at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He had to choose between the most difficult of options. If you do nothing, then the forces of darkness and adharma can take over. If you decide to challenge, you must go against your own kinsmen. You must challenge your own self. You must bring out your own higher potential. So that wasn't an ideal circumstance at all. And we must remember that this is the challenge of life and Dharma and the message of Kurukshetra. We must do the best possible at any given moment, even knowing that we don't have the perfect options, because we need to take the energy of Dharma forward, If we don't act, then we create the inertia that allows the adharmic forces to come forth. So it's very important that Arjuna arises within us, and even specifically in the Hindu Dharma, Hindu society, and even relative to India's heritage. And Hindu Dharma is arising, but also the forces opposed to it are also arising. So what's happening is this greater clash continues. As India is spreading its gurus throughout the world, we find India is also targeted by missionaries and conversion forces coming into the country. So this new century has a Hindu spirit awakening, but the decisive battle has yet to be won, which is bringing out that Rishi Yogi vision at the outer levels, including science, the social order, education, as well as the inner realms of sadhana and meditation, so that there can be a transformation within the society, within India, and there can be the true awakening of that Hindu spirit, the rishi, the warrior, the fearless application and pursuit of truth, and awakening humanity to its deeper spiritual heritage beyond materialism, beyond religious belief systems, a way of self-realization, a way of connecting with the whole of nature, a way of affirming the deeper truth of unity, but also removing and marginalizing the forces of duality. And particularly in the India context, reclaiming that Vedic and yogic heritage and casting off the intellectual dependency where the Indian mind has been too influenced by materialistic political ideologies that do not understand or appreciate these great dharmic traditions. So may that Arjuna spirit arise within you, take the form or the energy that is necessary in your own life. May that Arjuna spirit arise within Bharat, within India. May it arise within the world. And may it face all the outer challenges. And may that spirit of the spiritual warrior, may that form of yoga as transformation come out. And may there then be a century of Dharma, yogic spirituality, and the restoration of these great spiritual traditions from throughout the world, of which the Hindu Dharma remains our oldest and best representative.